Footage was taken a week ago. One Gauteng school decided to take lessons outside when overcrowding became a reality. And while the blame game is now being played, children are getting the short end of the stick. SABC News visited the school and found classes outside an everyday occurrence. Well, our investigative journalist, that's Griselda Lewis, has been tracking that story, and she joins us in studio now. Good afternoon, Griselda. Good to have you on the show again.
Thank you very much, Kirshni.
Well, teaching and learning going on under some dismal conditions, yeah? Describe what you saw for us, Griselda.
Well, Kirshni, very disappointing to find in 2015 where the learners that we found at the Maibuya Primary School were learning under trees, and we found that the containers that many of them are in are really in a shocking state. We also found many of them using the ground, to write on their books. And when we went inside the classrooms as well, we found that, some of them, if there isn't any place to sit, if they don't have a desk and a chair, they're basically told to sit on the floor. So really it was disappointing to find that at a school in 2015. Many would say it would, be associated with rural schools in rural provinces as well. But it was shocking to find it in urban Johannesburg that is still taking place.
The Gauteng Department of Education reportedly planned to spend 4.4 billion rand over the 3 financial years from 2010 to build and renovate schools. Clearly, this one has fallen through the cracks. Any reaction from the Education Department yet on this one, Griselda?
Well, certainly what we've seen, Kirshni, first of all, is that there's been no communication about this particular incident between the district education officials and the provincial education officials as well, because what we sense now is that the Gauteng Department of Education is saying that they did not hear that this was the case at the school. Had they known, they would have sent the additional resources that were needed in order to rectify the situation. What we also learned is that it's not just only with this school here that this has been taking place. Last year was the very same situation, and what the Education Department is basically saying is that heads will roll, and those that did not communicate about these conditions at the Maibuya Primary School would need to answer as to why this did not take place.
What stands out about the story, Griselda, is that there was a hugely proactive citizenry here, wasn't there? It was community members themselves who brought the story to the media's attention.
No, certainly was. Community participation is something that's very critical for us as the media. We cannot be in every single community. So we had distraught parents and some teachers who were saying this is unacceptable. You would recall just the other day there was a rollout of the digitalization of the classroom, where we saw iPads being handed out to the first school in Gauteng where everything is now digital. But there's another side of schooling in Gauteng which has not been brought to the fore, and it's exactly that of schools where children are learning under trees, and the dilapidated conditions of these containers which they continue to receive lessons in.
In all fairness, 15 new schools were opened in Gauteng at the start of this academic year. Yes. 600 new teachers were employed. So there's a great deal of political will, but there's also been concrete action to make good on promises made. Are communities on the ground actually cognizant of this, Griselda?
No, certainly are, Kirshni. When we spoke to the community members, they were the ones who brought it to the SABC. And the sense that we got as well, just to bring you up to speed as well, about what the Department of Education is now going to do, following the story which we will air this evening, also on the full story on the SABC's primetime news bulletin, that they're now going to hand over 5 additional classrooms to the school. As a result of this story, they will start delivering them tomorrow. They've promised that these classrooms will be, the last of these classrooms will be delivered by Friday. But certainly communities are saying something needs to be done. It cannot just be on the face when there seems to be a big hoo-ha that's being made about the digitalization of certain classrooms. But under the surface of all of that excellence, as you rightly pointed out, there is still a rot and a disgust by some of these communities which they say needs really to be sorted out as soon as possible if we're really going to get quality education.
Thank you, Griselda. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We are out of time. The SABC's investigative journalist Griselda Lewis joining us on the PM News Desk.